Well, I say that there's a reason that chambers do events. But not only did we want to have that community piece, we also wanted to make sure that we were providing some talent development. And it's sort of funny to look at our Inspire Mentoring program, which we do at the Clayton Middle School program, as talent development. But it is, because we're taking at-risk children and giving them a mentor for an entire year to help them develop soft skills, have somebody that they can rely on and have lunch with every single day. And it gives them an example that they might not have in their life of somebody who is a leader in the community, right?
Welcome to another episode of Best of Johnston County, brought to you by Breeden Law Office. Our host, Jonathan Breeden, an experienced family lawyer with a deep connection to the community, is ready to take you on a journey through the area that he has called home for over 20 years. Whether it's a deep dive into the love locals have for the county or unraveling the complexities of family law, Best of Johnston County presents an authentic slice of this unique community.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Best of Johnston County podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden. And on today's episode, we have the president and CEO of the Clayton, North Carolina Chamber of Commerce, Dana Wooten. We're going to talk to her about her childhood, growing up here, part of her childhood here in Johnston County, some of the things she did and her work with the Association of Realtors before she got the chamber job a few years ago, her involvement with one of the local Rotary Clubs, and some of the things that the Clayton Chamber of Commerce is doing to promote business and a better community life here in the Clayton area of Johnston County. But before we do that, I want to remind everybody, if this is your first time listening to this podcast, if you would do us the favor of liking, subscribing, or following this podcast wherever you see it, whether it be on Spotify, Apple iTunes, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, so that you'll be made aware of future episodes of the Best of Johnston County podcast. The Best of Johnston County podcast comes out every single Monday, and we're up to over 40 episodes. We've had a lot of great guests. So go back and listen to some of the previous episodes with Representative Donna White, County Commissioner Patrick Harris, local dentist Tim Sims, local realtor Donald O'Meara, Miss Teen America Hanley House. We've had a lot of great guests on over the previous episodes, and I think you would enjoy going back and listening to them as much as you're going to enjoy listening to Dana here today. Thanks a lot, Dana, for coming to talk to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jonathan.
All right, so we'll start with, what's your name? Where are you from?
Well, I'm Dana Wooten. My maiden name is Dana Bells, and so I grew up in Smithfield. However, I was not born in Smithfield. I moved to Smithfield when I was 11. So I was born in Southwest Virginia. So that's where my family, my roots are. My mother and my father were from there. And we moved when I was 11. So I like to say that I'm a hillbilly by birth and a redneck by choice.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that.
But yeah, I grew up in Smithfield and went off to college, and said I would never come back. But lo and behold, I did, and got married and had 2 kids and raised my family there. And so, yeah, and when I went back to Smithfield, I went into my parents' kitchen cabinet business.
Okay.
So it seems like all the jobs I've had, I've been baptized by fire.
Well, that's the best way.
Just go in, figure it out, and get it done, right?
That's how I started practicing law.
Exactly. So my parents started their own kitchen cabinet business. And so I learned how to design kitchens and draw elevations. Before the CAD system, everything was done, by hand. And I used to draw elevations by hand. And that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. So that's what I did before. I think I did that until my second son was born. And then I went home and I was a stay-at-home mom for a while. So I've done all kinds of things.
I got you. Well, the first time I met you, you were with the Johnston County Association of Realtors.
That's correct.
You may have been the head of that, if I'm not mistaken, or close to it.
Then they called it the Association Executive. So I started that position. I decided I wanted to re-enter the workforce after staying home for a while. And so I did that for 12 years. So sort of built that from scratch and just stepped into the role again, baptized by fire. Had no idea what I was doing, but I'll tell you who was a huge help to me was Sherry Phillips with the Home Builders Association.
Yes.
We shared an office together, and she kind of guided me and helped me navigate the waters of association management.
Right. So what does the Association of Realtors still exists. They still have an executive director.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
they own the Dupree House in Smithfield.
Yeah.
We had their event manager on our podcast a few weeks ago, and that's exciting. So if you're looking for an event space, beautiful house, downtown Smithfield,
Yeah.
Dupree House, Johnston County Association of Realtors would be happy to rent it to you. They're doing a great job there. But what does it do?
Well, the Association Realtors is an organization. It's a membership organization. And what the Association of Realtors does, it gives you resources in order to help you with your real estate business on a local level, on a state level, and a national level. And they also manage the multiple listing service, which is
Okay.
the MLS. So, in order to be a part of a multiple listing service, you must be a member of an association. And I guess it's still that way. I know that NAR has brought some new rules and regulations and that kind of thing. But when I was there, if you wanted to be a realtor, which is a trademark name, you had to be a member of association to have access to the MLS system, which gives you the
Okay.
keys to the kingdom, right?
Right.
You had to do it to be able to do business.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it. I loved it. I got very involved on the local level, built relationships. I got very active on the state level. I served as the association executive chair for our group on the North Carolina Association of Realtors. So built some great relationships. I still keep in touch with people all across the state. So it was a great experience.
Well, yeah, and the time that you were the head of that. Your county is one of the fastest growing counties in the entire country, and so you're adding new realtors every month. There's more listings every month. Like, it was a little bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But I guess, are you a realtor, or you were the executive director?
I'm not a realtor.
You're not.
No.
I didn't know if you were or you weren't.
No.
I just knew you were in charge of the realtors.
Yeah, I never got my license. I kind of thought that would be a conflict of interest, because I was managing the group of realtors. But I always wanted to manage the association without having a little bit of knowledge, but not enough knowledge to get myself in trouble, right?
I got you. So what years were you the head of the Realtor Association?
I started in, oh gosh, I don't know. I was there for 12 years. So I started in 2008, 7, 8,
Okay.
somewhere around in there. And then the opportunity for the Chamber of Commerce position became available, and I decided I would pursue that.
Okay, yeah, and I was happy to see I knew you'd done such a good job with the Realtor Association, and the Clayton Chamber. When you came in, was in disarray. I think it may have been a compliment. And I'd been extremely involved with the Clayton Chamber since I came to Johnston County, and Sally Slimwine would rope me into doing all kinds of things. I played Santa Claus in that Christmas parade so many times for Sally, and that was so much fun. And
we rely on people like that.
Yeah, no, and then we used to do. Santa would come to the chamber, and I would go there one night on a Tuesday in December, and kids would come in, and we'd give them presents. They'd come to the chamber, and I had the best time playing Santa Claus and working
something new. I did not know.
Yeah, and working on the Christmas parade committee.
Well, it's good to know.
Yeah, well, with and this is when the chamber ran the Christmas parade. Now Rotary Club, I think, runs it.
Yeah.
And you're in the Rotary Club, so you can't get away from it. But it was really a lot of fun, and of course, December in North Carolina, you could be Santa Claus. It could be 75 degrees, or you could be Santa Claus. It could be 25 degrees.
Exactly right.
But it was very rare that you were Santa Claus and it was 50 degrees. It was either going to be 75 and Santa was not able to keep his beard on because he was sweating, or you were freezing your butt off because Santa's suit was not a real Santa suit. It was kind of it was a suit I got from Target or somewhere, But anyway, it was a lot. It was a ton of fun, and so I was really involved in. That's when I first met you, because you were involved with the Clayton Chamber when you were the head of the association, but then leadership changed. Sally moved on, and leadership maybe not as good as it was, but you've really turned it around. What are some of the things that when you got there that you wanted to do?
Well, first of all, one of the things that I was charged with was to mend some bridges.
Yeah.
And also build some relationships and really get out and about and develop some strong relationships with the business community, some of the industries. There was no relationship with say Griffles or Novos or some of the larger industries, make sure that, we were providing what we needed to do for the business community as a whole. So I sort of reinvented the programs of work there, established some committees that did not exist and got rid of some that really weren't serving a purpose. But we didn't really have any initiative-based committees at the time. So we weren't working in the workforce talent development realm. We weren't working in the economic development realm. We had an education committee, but it needed a little bit of life pumped into it. And then we did not have any business advocacy or legislative and governmental affairs going on there. We did have the Harvest Festival. And so that is run by a staff of about 5 people and, brings 30,000 people to downtown Clayton. And we love that. But we wanted to also get involved in some of the other arenas in developing the chamber and molding it into something different. And then, what were we providing our investors? And we decided to call our members investors. We changed that and we rebranded and just tried to create a whole new chamber at that time.
Okay. Well, and you weren't there long and COVID happens.
That is true.
Okay.
But by the time you figure out what you've got the opportunities that were available to you there.
Right.
And you got that up and running and you got your staff there and you started gaining some traction and then COVID happened.
Right. Yes. Well, and chambers I was on the board of the Greater Cleveland Chamber of Commerce for a long time. And of course, that chamber merged in right before COVID with Triangle East, which was the Smithfield-Selma Chamber, and they changed their name to Triangle East. So the Greater Cleveland Chambers doesn't exist anymore, but I was on that board for many years, like 6 years or something. And, we had the Strawberry Festival out here and we tried to promote business that way. It was hard. But chambers were starting to change and they really have evolved in the 24 years I've been in Johnston County. And you've definitely evolved your chamber. Why the evolution and what does it offer investors today that maybe it didn't offer 10 years ago?
Well, I think there are several components to a chamber, and every chamber is unique because, it's based in a community and you need to serve your business community needs so not every chamber is the same. So every chamber is autonomous. And so one of the things that, we did have, that some chambers still have golf tournaments, some chambers do events and some chambers don't. But I wanted this chamber to kind of serve a lot of different needs. So we want to make sure that our community is served because I feel like it's important that we do the Harvest Festival because the Harvest Festival is a huge economic driver and people don't look at it that way. But as a Chamber of Commerce, we've got to say, okay, so we bring 30,000 people to downtown Clayton to expose and the surrounding areas because people have to drive there to get there. And people who've never been there might not know that business ABC exists. And they're like, well, wow, I'm down here. I'm going to come back and visit this business. And so one year we thought, well, we've got to really look at some numbers here because we've never done any statistical study on what is exactly the economic impact that the Harvest Festival brings to the community. So we hired the Parks and Rec department from NC State to come down, and we did it in 2021, we didn't get to have the Harvest Festival, of course, in 2020, but we did in 2021 to kind of just see where we were. And so we put into the community during that 4 day over $425,000. So that's a huge economic impact for downtown Clayton. So I wanted to change the concept. It's not just an event. It enhances the economic vitality of our town.
I agree 100%. I love the Harvest Festival and I've been many times and I've been a vendor there and my wife had a photography business and it's great. I enjoy walking around and I often will see that there are new businesses and I think people need to understand just how great downtown Clayton is now. I mean, the restaurants with Crawford's Cook Shop. I mean, that is as good a restaurant as any restaurant you will eat anywhere in America. I mean, you know what I mean? And Manning's,
Yeah.
and now you've got First Street Tavern, and I like it's just, and I don't think people are aware of it, but if you go down there for the Harvest Festival and you have the face painting and the ice cream and the music and the concerts and sometimes there's a car show, and I really enjoyed the police dogs would go out and they would do a police dog demonstration, and I mean, really, it's just a ton of fun.
Well, I say that to say that there's a reason that chambers do events, right? And so, but not only did we want to have that community piece, we also wanted to make sure that we were providing some talent development, and it's sort of funny to look at our Inspire Mentoring program, which we do at the Clayton Middle School program, as talent development. But it is, because we're taking at-risk children and giving them a mentor for an entire year to help them develop soft skills, have somebody that they can rely on and have lunch with every single day. And it gives them an example that they might not have in their life of somebody who is, a leader in the community, right? And then we decided we've sort of fallen into this small business development niche at the Clayton Chamber. And then we wanted to develop entrepreneurs that are in high school that, maybe you're thinking that maybe a college path is not for them, and they may want to leave high school and start their own business. So we started our student entrepreneur program. And so that's become successful. We want it to grow. We released it right at COVID. And so it's taken a couple years. This is our third year, but we offer it to high schools at Corinth, Clayton, and Cleveland High School. And the winner actually last year was from Cleveland
High School. That's right.
Yeah,
I knew the winner.
About that.
Right. No, I knew him and his parents, and that was really good. I think he had a drone business.
He had a drone business.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is really neat.
Have family law questions? Need guidance to navigate legal challenges? The compassionate team at Breeden Law Office is here to help. Visit us at www.breedenfirm.com for practical advice, resources, or to book a consultation. Remember, when life gets messy, you don't have to face it alone.
And you're getting ready to launch JoCo.
Yes.
And that's coming up here. I mean, the application process is going to be...
opens tomorrow.
Right. So by the time this runs, the application process will probably be closed, but let's talk about what it is and how it's going to run.
Okay. Well, I think the application process closes September 15th, I think.
Okay.
So we launched JoCo was an initiative that I heard at my Clayton Rotary Club. Matthew Kane came down. He's a Rotarian in North Raleigh. And he had been in Detroit, and he saw this program called Launch My City. And so I guess it was in 2017, he brought this idea because they started one in Southeast Raleigh. And I thought it was a fabulous idea. But I was new to the chamber, and I'm not going to lie, I was overwhelmed. I'm going to be honest. So it just sort of sat there for a while. But in Raleigh, a lot of the launch programs are run by volunteers, totally, Rotary clubs. And I guess at that time, our club wasn't interested in picking that up, which is fine. We were smaller at the time. And so it sat there for a while. And then after COVID, I brought on Melissa Overton is our workforce development chair. And she said, okay, I'll be your chair, but we need something. I said, okay, how about this? Let's pick up Launch My City program. Let's pick that up. And we'll call it Launch Clayton. This is how it started. And she said, I like it. Let's develop it. So we kind of learned from some of the other launch programs. And we were talking about it, and we started developing it. We thought, let's make this bigger. Let's make this countywide. So that's how Launch Johnston County, which has now been shortened to Launch JoCo, was born.
Okay.
And then we decided we wanted to bring in some partners to make sure that this program was known across the county. So we brought on the Johnston County chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. They had a small little entrepreneur program because Evelyn Sanders, who I think was president at the time, had been through the Launch Raleigh program. And so we went to them and said, okay, here's what we want to do, and we want to partner. Are you interested? If not, we don't want to step on your toes, right? So they were all in. So we got them on as a partner. Of course, our Clayton Rotary Club came on as a partner initially. And then we approached the Benson Area Chamber of Commerce and the Triangle East Chamber of Commerce. And now the Central Johnston Rotary Club has come on board and has been a great supporter. So it's a countywide collaborative. And so we've got information sessions that are starting up for small businesses to come in and learn more about the program. But it's also morphed into a 3-tier program now. So we have Launch Now, Launch Next, and Launch Beyond. So Launch Now is for businesses who are kind of in their infancy. They have their ideas. They're not really maybe generating a lot of income, and they need some development. So we partner with the Johnston County Small Business Center. They're one of our partners and a huge contributor to our program. And so we send them there. So they help them get ready for the next level, which is called Launch Next. Launch Next is our 14-week business education program. Now, we're not talking about theory here. You are actually working in your business. You are importing your QuickBooks. You are looking at your mission and vision and your statements, and you're developing your bit. So when you leave there, you have a true business plan where you can take to the bank or wherever for a small business loan. And that's a 14-week program. We also, during that time, match them with mentors, leaders in the community who work with them 6 months after they graduate from the business portion of this. And then we have a graduation and then a kickoff for the next class. We have sponsors. KS Bank has been the presenting sponsor since its inception. Earl Worley believed in this program from the very beginning and then took a leap of faith and has been a presenting sponsor of this program since then and offered some grants. Now we're offering some small grants to our students. Clayton Women in Networking have stepped up and they're offering a grant now. So, and then our Clayton Chamber Foundation is at the point now where we can offer some grant money to the Launch JOCO students. So this is a program that's entirely at no cost to the students of this program.
Well, that's going to be awesome. And I've been involved with Launch Garner for the last few years where I've been a mentor, and that has been as rewarding for me as it's been for them. Yeah, you know what I mean? I've really enjoyed it, and and be glad to be a mentor for Launch JOCO too. I enjoy talking to people, the excitement of the ideas and what they're trying to do. And, I've been in business 24 years. I made a lot of mistakes, and I will do anything in my power to not have somebody make the same mistakes I've made if I humanly can help it.
Right.
And that's great. And, and I think Launch Garner, it really is largely done by the town, and the chamber kind of helps, but it's more of a town driven thing. This is going to be sort of driven by the Clayton Chamber.
Yeah.
And I think Triangle East is going to help you some too. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope a lot of people will get involved and participate because, there's a lot of great ideas out there, but it takes a lot to start a business, and there's a lot.
You can have a passion for something,
right?
Or how to make something, but you might not know how the business aspect of it works, right? So if you can, Melissa kept saying this, it's like the keys to the kingdom. We're giving them to you, and you'll be so far ahead of the game, and then you're building these relationships and these connections and resources that it takes somebody by themselves 10, 12 years to build, right? And so I think it's a wonderful program. I'm glad it's all over Wake County. I'm glad it's here in Johnston County. And so it's a great opportunity.
Well, yeah. And you mentioned the Rotary Club. At one point, I think you were the president of the Rotary Club.
I was. And
right.
I think back now and I think, how did I do that?
I don't remember, but you were
I
the
did.
president of the Rotary Club. I remember that. So what is, I mean, most people, a lot of people think, what is Rotary? What is, are you in the Central Johnston Rotary Club or Clayton? I don't know
I'm
which
in
one
the
you're in.
Clayton Rotary
Clayton
Club.
Rotary. Okay.
Yeah.
So what does Rotary do in general and what does the Clayton Rotary Club do specifically?
Okay. Well, Rotary is an international organization. And one of the things that Rotary has taken on internationally is to eradicate polio. And people don't think about the fact that polio still exists, but it does. And so that is one of our main projects on a global initiative. We have tiers. We have, clean water is a project for Rotary, economic development, education, and so they have lots of tiers that they spread their money and their resources. I will tell you a little bit more about our Clayton Rotary Club because each club has their own little projects.
Right.
But we do collaborate on one thing, and I will get to that. But we had a grant for a clean well system in Africa. We also go to the Dominican Republic and build latrines and houses once a year. But our biggest service project, the Clayton Rotary Club, and we also partner with the Cleveland Rotary Club and the Central Johnston Rotary Club, is our Flags for Heroes. And that is proven, that began during COVID because, we always did our spaghetti supper, and sold plates, and that was our fundraiser. And that's how we sort of gave back to the community with scholarships for high school students and things that we did. And so during COVID, of course, we couldn't gather to do that. So Lee Hudson brought the idea. He picked up a pamphlet at one of the conventions and said, "Hey, Michael Sims, who was president at the time, why don't we buy 500 flags and see how this flies?" And the hospital was gracious enough to give us that property, right beside the new facility, the campus there in Clayton. And we ended up selling 250. So we sold 500 flags. Now we're up to 1,500 flags. The field is full. And so we honor our veterans, first responders, frontline workers, and any kind of hero that you want to sponsor a flag and put a medallion on there. And that's how we make our money to give back to the community now.
Well, I buy a flag every year. And so, and I just tell them to honor whoever they would like to honor.
Yeah.
Try to do that every year, to help with that and you drive by it. It's really beautiful and moving when you right there next to the hospital.
It's just,
have all those flags out there.
It takes my breath away. And it does.
It does. It's a great program and glad to support that and all the work that Rotary does and the Cleveland Rotary Club. I got a lot of good friends in that as well. When does the Clayton Rotary Club meet?
We meet very early every Thursday morning at 6:45.
Man, that's early.
It is early, but I'm telling you, when I leave there, I am so rejuvenated and pumped up for the day. And
where do y'all meet at?
Rainbow Lanes.
Rainbow Lanes,
Yeah.
6:45 on Thursdays.
On Thursdays.
Now there used to
join me for breakfast.
Right, there used to be a lunch or dinner Rotary Club too in Clayton.
There was a midday Rotary
Club. Right. Is that no longer?
Yes, no.
Okay.
No
all right.
longer. So
all right. Well, that's
cool. Have the morning club now in Clayton and then
all right.
Cleveland and Central.
Oh man, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And well, that's awesome. Well, the last question we ask everybody on this podcast is, what do you love most about Johnston County?
Oh, I love everything about Johnston County. I mean, I'm just trying to think because I'll tell you what, I love the people. The people is Johnston County's greatest commodity, in my opinion. Being from here, since I was 11 and living here, I've got so many friends that have come back to Johnston County to raise their families. And then being part of the chamber, I have met so many new people that have moved into the area. And one of the things I love about Clayton is that the people that have servant hearts and they want to give and do and volunteer and be a part of the community, it's just heartwarming. It's just it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. And I love what's happening in the eastern part of Johnston County now and here in Cleveland and the growth and the opportunities it's bringing for people. So that's what I love.
No, it's great. I agree with you 100%. And the people is what everybody everybody says, I mean, we're well over 40 episodes by now, and it's always the people. So how can people reach out to you, the Clayton Chamber of Commerce, Clayton Rotary? How would people reach out to you or any of those organizations?
Okay, well, the Clayton Chamber of Commerce is on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, ClaytonChamber.com. We also have a Clayton Chamber Foundation that we give scholarships to first responders. So that's ClaytonChamberFoundation.org. We have Clayton Rotary Club, has a website. We're on Facebook. We also have an individual Facebook page for Flags for Heroes. So anytime anybody wants to come and join us for breakfast on a Thursday morning and feel rejuvenated and a part of the community, love for you to join us. And if you haven't gotten your booth for the Harvest Festival, we don't have many left, so you better jump on that.
Well, the Harvest Festival is coming up October 26, 2024 in downtown Clayton. It's a 4-day event with rides and all kinds of stuff. But the main thing with all the booths, the 180 booths right down Main Street, is the vendor fair is going to be on Saturday, October 26th.
And Food Lion is our presenting sponsor, and we have Food Lion Feed, so you bring food so we can help Clayton Area Ministries. Well, so there's a give back component to it as well.
Well, there is, and Clayton Area Ministries has a food bank there in Clayton. They've had it for years. I worked with them a long time ago, so I know that it's still there, and maybe we'll get somebody on from there as well.
You should.
And we're gonna. She talked about Melissa Overton and her involvement. She'll be on a future episode of the Best of Johnston County podcast as well. So come back and listen to what she has to say. She's a fascinating individual as well. So anyway, we'd like to thank Dana Wooten for coming and being our guest on the Best of Johnston County podcast. Like I said earlier, if you would be so kind to like, subscribe, or follow this podcast wherever you're seeing the podcast so that you'll be aware of future episodes of the Best of Johnston County podcast. If you also would do us the honor of giving us a 5-star review down at the bottom, wherever you're seeing this podcast, it will help with our visibility so more people will become aware of the Best of Johnston County podcast. Until next time, I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden.
That's the end of today's episode of Best of Johnston County, a show brought to you by the trusted team at Breeden Law Office. We thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to sharing more interesting facets of this community next week. Every story, every viewpoint adds another thread to the rich tapestry of Johnston County. If the legal aspects highlighted raise some questions, help is just around the corner at www.breedenfirm.com.